There is a silence in the night sky that should terrify you, but you have been conditioned to ignore it. You look up, see thousands of stars, and your intuition, that voice that helps you cross the street or feel someone watching you, says it is impossible for us to be alone. But here is the first blow. Your intuition evolved to hunt in the savannah, not to measure the cosmos. The moment you apply pure mathematics to the reality of the stars, that sense of comfort collapses, and you are forced to face a brutal question. Why do we believe our feelings have any authority over the merciless laws of physics? The universe is not an invitation for exploration. It is a fortress protected by 5 absolute verdicts, 5 iron walls that ensure civilizations never meet. What I am going to reveal to you today will crush your worldview and leave you furious with the science fiction that has sold you comforting lies for decades. We are trapped in a survival biochemistry that was not made for the vacuum, and the window of opportunity for galactic contact is not a technical challenge. It is a structural impossibility. Forget the blurry UFOs and ships jumping into hyperspace. Let's look at the abyss as it truly is. I will show you how the speed of light is not a goal, but a causality barrier that imprisons history in isolated bubbles. You will discover why the energy required to visit the nearest star would demand the sacrifice of entire solar systems, and why, on the great cosmic clock, we are just a firefly blinking in a deserted forest, where the next guest will only arrive when we are already ashes. If you have the courage to trade Hollywood fantasy for the bitter clarity of reality, this video is your definitive awakening. I ask you to leave your like and subscribe, as this channel is the last refuge of the naked truth for those seeking intellectual patient autonomy and the courage to look into the void. Comment below now. Do you prefer the lie that makes you feel accompanied, or the truth that shows you how precious our isolation is? I want to see who the 1% are who can endure the silence without looking away. Your brain is a phenomenal biological machine, but it has a very clear geographic processing limit. It was designed to understand distances you can walk, hunt, or, at most, drive. When we say that Proxima Centauri is only 4.2 light-years away, your intuition fails miserably because it tries to treat the cosmos as if it were a neighboring district. The naked truth is that space is not just empty, it is a scale barrier that crushes any attempt at survival biochemistry outside our atmospheric bubble. To give you an idea of the level of isolation we have been placed in, consider the fastest spacecraft ever built by humanity, capable of crossing continents in seconds. If you were on it now, heading toward the nearest star, your journey would take 6,600 years, which means that if we had departed when the pyramids were erected, we would still be in the middle of absolute nowhere. This distance is not a route, it is a death sentence for our biology, proving that our window of opportunity for contact is blocked by the simple and brutal geometry of the void. The scale of the universe is the first verdict that strips away your intellectual patient autonomy in the face of science fiction's promises. Imagine that the Milky Way is a city 100,000 light-years wide. Crossing that distance at our current speed would take hundreds of millions of years, enough time for the human race to evolve into another species or simply become extinct. We are like microbes trying to cross an ocean on a dry leaf. The ocean is so vast that the leaf rots long before sighting the horizon. This immensity generates silent signals that the universe was not made to be navigated by beings of flesh and bone, but rather observed from a distance. Every star you see in the sky is a reminder that the light reaching you is a ghost of the past, information that traveled for ages to find your retina. We are trapped in a prophylactic isolation where distance acts as a cosmic quarantine, ensuring that the infections of one civilization never reach the borders of another. The reality check here is understanding that we don't lack better ships. What we lack is the biological time to endure the vacuum. Your mind tries to find comfort in the idea of space warps, but the physics of distance is implacable. The fuel required to move your mass through that abyss would demand the consumption of entire planets. You begin to realize that loneliness is not a mystery. It is an inevitable consequence of living in a system where the essential nutrients for life are separated by abysses of radioactive vacuum. Therefore, when you look at the stars and feel an emptiness in your chest, know that this feeling is the only honest thing in your perception. The scale of the universe was designed to keep us small and immobile. Distance is the physical wall that keeps us in our place, but it is only the preface to an even greater horror. There is an iron barrier in the very structure of reality, a maximum speed that prevents any signal or ship from accelerating the meeting process, and it is about this wall of light that we will speak now. Most people believe that the speed of light is just an engineering record, like the sound barrier we broke last century. But here is the truth that will destroy your optimism. The speed of light is not a goal. It is the speed of causality itself, the maximum limit at which reality can happen. The universe imposes a law of diminishing returns where the faster you try to move a ship, the heavier it becomes in terms of relativistic mass. For an object of flesh and bone to reach this limit, an infinite amount of energy would be required, which makes your desire to travel between stars a direct violation of the laws of survival biochemistry. This is the second verdict, the Einstein wall. If you tried to accelerate a single grain of sand to the speed of light, you would need more energy than is contained in all the galaxies of the observable universe. No matter how advanced a civilization is, it still inhabits the same space-time fabric as we do and obeys the same merciless equations. The window of opportunity for galactic contact is closed by this speed limit that transforms the cosmos into a series of isolated islands where information from one never reaches the other in time to be useful. Here enters the rocket equation's tyranny, the third verdict that crushes any escape plan. To move a ship, you need fuel, but that fuel has mass, which requires even more fuel to be moved, creating an exponential cycle of weight that physics calls tyranny. If we wanted to send you to the nearest star within a human lifespan, the ship would have to be the size of a continent, composed almost entirely of fuel tanks. Do you see the insanity? The search for essential nutrients on other worlds hits the energy cost of moving your own mass through the vacuum. Even antimatter, the ultimate fuel of fiction, fails before the scale of reality. Producing just a few grams of this substance would cost the GDP of entire nations and take ages. And even then, you wouldn't have enough to slow the ship down upon reaching the destination. The universe demands that you pay the price of inertia in every maneuver, stripping away your cosmic patient autonomy and proving that isolation is not a choice, but an energetic imposition. The silent signals of alien ships that the public seeks do not appear because the cost of crossing the abyss is a waste of resources that no intelligent civilization would accept paying. A civilization that masters the energy of a star would rather build a virtual paradise in its own system than spend that entire sun to send a probe to a primitive planet 1,000 light-years away. It is the logic of cosmic efficiency. Why cross the radioactive ocean if you can have everything you desire at home? This energy barrier functions as an intelligence filter, where species that attempt to colonize the void end up bankrupt or extinct by physics itself. We are prisoners of an energy economy that does not forgive mistakes and accepts no shortcuts. Therefore, when you see lights in the sky and imagine ships from other worlds, you are ignoring that for that light to be there, an entire star would have to have been sacrificed to push that mass through the vacuum. Einstein's physics and the rocket's tyranny are the sentinels guarding our loneliness, ensuring the galactic club remains empty. But if fuel and speed were not the problem, the very fabric of life would be the next wall, for space is not just empty, it is a biological meat grinder. Space is not just a silent void, it is an invisible extermination field that attacks your survival biochemistry at the most fundamental level, your DNA. Here on Earth, we are protected by a magnetic shield and a dense atmosphere, but the moment you cross that border, you become a target for galactic cosmic rays. These particles are not just light, they are subatomic bullets traveling near the speed of light, passing through the ship's fuselage and your body as if they were made of smoke, shredding your genetic library like a shotgun blast to a paper archive. This is the fourth verdict, biological incompatibility. The human body was forged to operate under a specific pressure and constant gravity, and the vacuum mocks these needs. In zero gravity, your bones begin to dissolve, your heart shrinks from lack of effort, and your body fluids shift, deforming your eyeballs and clouding your vision. The window of opportunity for human exploration is closed by our own fragility, proving that the hardware of flesh was not designed to run the software of deep space for more than a few months. Many dream of cryogenic sleep, but the physics of life is merciless. Freezing a living cell causes the water inside to turn into ice crystals that act as daggers, tearing cellular membranes from the inside. Turning a human being into a space popsicle is, in reality, turning them into a mass of irremediably destroyed tissues. Without a solution for biological preservation, interstellar travel becomes a slow death sentence, stripping any patient autonomy from those who dare defy the lethal radiation of the void. Even generational ships where families would live and die in space hit the nightmare of social and genetic entropy. Place hundreds of humans in a metal can for 500 years, and you will see the collapse of social structures, language drift, and the emergence of genetic defects through inbreeding. When the fourth generation finally arrived at the destination, they wouldn't even remember why they left, having lost all the essential nutrients of terrestrial culture and sanity. Space does not only corrode metal, it corrodes human purpose. You might think the solution would be robots, but silicon is also vulnerable. High-energy particles cause what is called bit flipping, corrupting data and destroying integrated circuits over millennia of travel. Without an eternal maintenance crew, machines succumb to metal fatigue and micrometeoroids which, at vacuum speeds, hit the ship with the power of hand grenades. The universe possesses silent signals that complex matter, whether biological or technological, tends toward chaos when exposed to nothingness for too long. Therefore, the dream of colonizing the stars is a delusion that ignores our own nature. We are prisoners of a paradise called Earth. Space is a radioactive desert that accepts no intruders, and every attempt to cross it is a reminder of our biological insignificance. But if distance, energy, and biology were not enough to isolate us, there is one last wall, the most silent and cruel of all, the mismatch of times that makes us fireflies blinking in different centuries. The universe is 13.8 billion years old, and our technological civilization emitted its first radio signal just a century ago. If you imagine the history of the cosmos as a one-year calendar, humanity emerged in the final seconds of December 31st. This is the fifth verdict: asynchronous mismatch. The probability of two civilizations reaching a technical peak in the same millennium and in the same galactic neighborhood is mathematically negligible. We are like two fireflies blinking in a dark forest on different nights. I blinked on Tuesday, you blink on Friday, and the abyss of time ensures we will never know of each other's existence. This lack of synchrony destroys your window of contact opportunity much more brutally than physical distance. A civilization might have flourished on Proxima Centauri when Earth was still a ball of fire, and another might emerge there when our sun has already swallowed our planet. In the great clock of survival biochemistry, intelligent life is a short and unstable fever spike, and the silence you hear in the sky is not an absence of life, but the sound of cosmic tombs. We are screaming into a temporal hurricane where the echo of our voice will only arrive when there are no longer ears to hear it. The concept of simultaneous civilizations is an illusion of our linear perception of time. In space, information travels at the speed of light, which means looking far away is, literally, looking into the past. If a civilization 1,000 light years from us were observing us today with an impossible telescope, they would not see cities or the internet. They would see the Middle Ages. They would see a world that lacks the technology to respond. This data lag strips away any cosmic patient autonomy, transforming interstellar dialogue into a monologue of ghosts traveling through ages without ever finding a shared present. Furthermore, the lifespan of a technological civilization is, historically, frighteningly short. Between nuclear wars, climate collapses, and simple social entropy, our capacity to emit signals may last only a few thousand years before we return to the Stone Age or extinction. In the context of billions of years, this interval is an irrelevant statistical fluctuation. The silent signals that SETI seeks are needles in a haystack where the haystack is infinity and the needle lasts only a microsecond. The universe is not empty, it is just out of sync. This is why the search for Dyson spheres or alien megastructures often ends in frustration. We are looking for family photos in a monumental cemetery. Even if a species has overcome radiation and energy, time is the absolute lord that ends every empire. The window of opportunity for two intelligences to cross paths is as improbable as throwing 2 grains of sand into different oceans and expecting them to collide at the bottom. Time is the final verdict that seals our isolation in bubbles of chronological loneliness. Therefore, when you feel the weight of the night silence, understand that it is proof of the absolute rarity of now. We are not just alone in space, we are alone in time. This total isolation forces us to face the essential nutrients of our own history. and to stop projecting onto the sky the salvation we should be building here. But before we close this verdict, we need to talk about what these walls mean for our future, and how the acceptance of this loneliness is, in reality, the greatest leap in maturity humanity can take. We have reached the final verdict, my friend. The silence that once bothered you should now be read for what it truly is: mathematical proof that you are a survivor on a lifeboat called Earth. What you discovered today was not just physics or astronomy. It was the end of our species' childhood. You understood that distance isolates us, light limits us, energy impoverishes us, biology locks us, and time mismatches us. The hope that someone will come to save us is the last remnant of a mind that has not yet accepted its own cosmic patient autonomy. Our window of opportunity to flourish is now on this tiny blue dot, because out there the universe is not a destination. It is a cemetery of civilizations that never knew each other. The Hollywood farce and the blurry lights in Navy videos are comforting lies trying to mask the bitter reality that we are the only ones responsible for our destiny. The universe does not owe you an answer, and silence is not an error. It is the rule of a game where life is the rarest and most precious exception in 13.8 billion years of survival biochemistry. If this reality check has awakened in you the clarity that we need to care for this oasis with the urgency of someone who knows there is no plan B in the stars, then my mission is accomplished. Leave your like and subscribe, for this channel is the territory of those who can bear the truth without the crutches of fantasy. Share this video with those who still live waiting for galactic miracles, so they finally begin to value the essential nutrients of life they already possess under their feet. Comment below. I accept the silence, so I know you are part of the intellectual elite who does not fear the void. Do not look at the sky anymore with the neediness of an orphan, but with the pride of a master who understands the laws of his own prison. Use this knowledge to focus on what is real, on your health, on your mind, and on the protection of this lifeboat that carries us through the nothingness. Cosmic loneliness is not a punishment. It is what makes your consciousness the most important event in the entire galaxy. The time of space gods is over. The time of human responsibility has begun. I thank you for having the courage to accompany me to the abyss. I will be here in the next video, peeling back another layer of reality so that you are never again a hostage to ignorance or the marketing of the impossible. Keep questioning, keep studying the physics of truth, and above all, stay vigilant. The universe is vast and mute, but your cry of consciousness is what gives meaning to all this void. See you in the next dive. I thank you for having the courage to accompany me to the abyss. I will be here in the next video, peeling back another layer of reality so that you are never again a hostage to ignorance or the marketing of the impossible. Keep questioning, keep studying the physics of truth, and above all, stay vigilant. The universe is vast and mute, but your cry of consciousness is what gives meaning to all this void. See you in the next dive.